Hello, my name is Brooklyn and this is how I made this quilt. So let's get to it, I guess, guys. First thing I did was I took these squares of jeans that I had, and here I'm just pinning them together. This is gonna be the backing of my quilt. This is how I did my South Park one, and then also my skull one, so same thing here. Then you just want to sew all those together. You can't really see me actually sewing the pieces, but I am sewing them together here. Here's what all the squares look like sewed together. This is a Sailor Mars I made, so I just cut out some pieces of my scrap fabric for her head and her little sash, I think you would call it, and then it's her arms and her hair and her shirt, and I did the legs and the skirt and put that on pink fabric for some backing. This is a Monster High skelet I cut out. And here I am just doing some applique. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know how this works. So I'm just taking my fabric pieces, I'm tracing them out on the applique so that I can just put those on easier. You know, they're not going to be falling off, and they look a little bit better. But yeah. So you want to use your knot fabric scissors for this. These are some kitchen scissors I'm using, but yeah, just trace it out and then cut it out. Pretty easy to do this. Right here, I am just pressing them with an iron, so you put your fabric under some parchment paper. Make sure that the glue side is, the bumpy side is the side with the glue, so you have your fabric on top of that. Then you put your parchment paper over that and just press it for a little bit. You don't have to hold the iron down on it, you can actually just let your iron just do its thing for a couple seconds and pick it up. And I usually flip over the other piece and then put the parchment paper back over it to get the back, just so it sticks on better, but that's all I'm doing here. I actually lost one of my pieces while I was doing this, and it ended up being stuck to my iron, but I found it, so I was pretty happy about that, so I didn't have to cut out a new piece. But make sure you don't lose your pieces, because there was a lot of tiny pieces with all this applique I was doing. But that's about it, and yeah. Right here I am just trimming off the excess paper from around the edges. you do this so then you don't have the extra glue on there, because the extra glue actually, it's visible when you iron it on there, so it looks just a little nicer if you don't have that. So this is a good step. Ideally you would use an X-Acto knife for this, but I'm not actually sure where mine are, so I'm just using my scissors again. But scissors work pretty good, but X-Acto knives would work better. To complete the process, you just peel off the paper backing and then you just put it on whatever you're trying to stick it to. Put parchment paper over it and just press it with your iron. It's pretty easy. And then right here I'm just sewing my little Luna onto this pink square of fabric, and then I sewed the little Draculaura Monster High Skelet onto the fabric it was on, but pretty easy. I think this is pretty doable, and this was actual sewing instead of just a bunch of applique, so I was very happy to be doing something a little bit different after just cutting out a bunch of applique, because that was a lot of applique, guys. Here's how Luna turned out, and here's how the Monster High Skelet turned out. But yeah, that's what they should be looking like. Now I'm just sewing on some fabric onto my jean backing. The main goal for this is to not have any of the jean showing, so I just kind of placed my lettering that I made earlier on it so then I could figure out where stuff goes. But yeah, so I'm just sewing this now, but yeah. Right here, my cat Kenny decided that I needed some help, so he's helping me, but I'm just pinning on my fabric right here, and he's just running around, you know, being good entertainment for me while I was doing this. And here I'm just placing my letters, making sure everything's gonna work good, and then I just sew them on. I'm using a decorative stitch for this, and I have my stitch size on 4, but yeah, you can do whatever decorative stitch you want for this. I think I was using 13 for this, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, any decorative stitch will work. just doing some more sewing right here. The thread I was using was, I think, not very good thread because I was having a lot of issues with this and this was taking a while. But if your machine is causing you some grief, you know, and this is the only white thread you have and it's not good white thread and your machine is not agreeing with it, it is totally okay to just take a break. I took a break and took a nap. I only wanted to take a 45-minute nap, but I ended up I just kept snoozing my alarm, and then eventually I think I turned it off, and then I woke up and it was 2 hours later. But you know what? I got back to sewing after that and I got it done. It was just a little bit later than I wanted to get it done, but y'all, Kenny's in the background, but yeah. So it is okay to take a break, and sometimes it is good. If you feel like you want to throw your sewing machine out a window, it's good to take a break and it's okay. Next step requires your cat laying on your quilt. This is a necessary step. Anyways, this is what it's looking like so far, but some more sewing. Still sewing on the letters, you know, because like I said, I was not having a good time with this white thread, but it was the only white I had, so I persevered and I survived, and I think it all worked out in the end, and I feel like that's what matters. This picture is actually supposed to be in a different part of the video, but these are the things that I use to hang the banner later, so I guess if that's important to you. Oh, hey guys, my name's Kenny. I'm just, you know, I'm licking my paws on this very nice quilt that my owner's trying to work on. You know, it's very comfortable. I don't know what to even think right now, but I'm having a good time. You know, this is very fun. A very comfortable quilt. You know, it's very colorful too. Yeah, I'm just laying here. I'm listening to whatever her brother's doing right now, but yeah. Oh, let's take a nap right here. A very, very comfy little bed that my owner so graciously made for me. It's just so comfortable. Very comfortable quilt. 10 out of 10. This is just what it looked like when I just like laid down and pinned some of the fabric, because I was kind of mapping out how I wanted it to look before I sewed it. So this is what I ended up coming up with. And right here I am mixing up some fabric paint. This is not new on my channel, I've done this before. But anyways, this is some white acrylic paint. I just shook it up with some fabric softener because that is the last of that white paint. And I'm just painting in the highlights in Sailor Mars's eyes and Luna's eyes with a paintbrush right here. Pretty, you know, this is very easy, guys. I believe that you could do this if you wanted to. I don't know how many people use these as sewing tutorials. I don't even know if anybody watches these videos, but I like making them and I like yapping, and I feel like that's what matters. So I'm just painting in Sailor Mars choker right now. Can't believe I almost mixed up the two, Sailor Mars and Sailor Moon, two completely different characters. Anyways, painted in the tiara. Okay, here's where the other picture was supposed to be. Anyways, I'm pinning up it's like black cloudy fabric. I'm just folding up the edges and pinning them, you know, and then I'm gonna sew them with a decorative stitch. You will see that later, but yeah, I don't think I need to gap any longer about this. Right here, I'm trying to put a little tiny hole in them so then I can use my corset eyes and my grommet tool to just put a corset eye in there, but the problem was I made the holes too big, so they just kind of fell through, and I didn't have enough corset eyes anyways, so I just kind of rolled with the holes that I made and just used those to hang it up. Ideally, you would want to use the corset eyes so then you don't have to worry about the fabric ripping, but for now it's okay, and it works for now, honestly. As long as I'm not putting holes in the actual quilt, it's okay. So putting holes in these little fabric tabs is, I don't feel this bad about it, you know, because it's not all my really hard labor that I spent so long on just putting a hole in that. But yeah, here's my very messy workspace. I don't know why this part's in there for so long, but anyways, now I'm just sewing those little fabric tabs onto there using a decorative stitch and some black thread to match the fabric. Just do that on both sides, you know. We're almost done, which I'm very excited about because this quilt took so long. I don't know if it took longer or like as long as the other ones, but it definitely took a while. Oh yeah, there's me walking around. Okay. Anyways, right here I am just ironing it, you know. Yeah, anyways, we put the iron over the dry fabric paint with the piece of parchment paper over it, press it, and it just kind of helps like seal the paint in. I don't know how okay this quilt would be if it just went through the washing machine, but supposedly that is supposed to help the fabric stay. If it needs to go through the washing machine, I don't know though, but yeah, thank you for watching. Highly recommend subscribing if you made it this far. This is kind of a longer video. So, my brother told me that I wasn't getting a lot of subscribers because my videos are too random and I do too many things. So I figured that I would come up with a system. So I'm going to do So this is the release order. It's going to be a sewing video, a doll video, and then a crafting video. And that's going to be the order that videos come out in from now on. So you guys know what to expect. So if you're into sewing, it'll be, if it comes out after a craft. If I just post a crafting video, the next one will be sewing. But yeah, same with, I just posted a doll video, it'll be crafting. And if I just posted a sewing video, it'll be dolls. But I think that's about it.